You know that moment at a party, maybe it's a friend of a friend situation where someone looks you straight in the eyes and goes, "So, how's work?" And your face does the polite human smile while your brain quietly grabs its coat and slips out the back door. Because here's the thing, small talk isn't really a conversation. It's a ritual. It's the social equivalent of tapping a microphone and saying, "Testing, testing," except nobody ever starts the show. We just keep testing. Weather, traffic, weekend plans, the holy trinity of safe topics. Amen. If that makes you feel a tiny bit allergic, you're not broken. You're not rude. You're not bad with people. And you're definitely not too intense, even if someone has lovingly informed you of that, like it's a medical condition. And before anyone gets defensive on behalf of small talk, yes, it has a purpose. It's social WD-40. It's how humans say, "I'm not a threat. You're not a threat. We can stand near each other without HR getting involved." It's a nervous system handshake. It's the "are we safe?" check. But here's the twist. Some brains don't get the reward everyone else seems to be getting. Your brain hears, "Nice weather, huh?" And it goes, "Incredible." Two adults observing the sky, truly a historic moment. Meanwhile, your mind is sitting there with a completely different menu of questions it would rather ask. Like, what's a belief you've outgrown but still live by out of habit? Or when was the last time you felt genuinely understood? Or do you ever feel like your life is happening faster than your emotions can keep up? Normal snack table questions. So what's actually happening in your psychology? A lot of it comes down to meaning. Humans don't just talk to exchange information. We talk for belonging, safety, status, comfort, and reward. For people who enjoy small talk, the reward is quick and steady. It confirms acceptance. It keeps the vibe smooth. It's low effort, low risk connection. But if you hate small talk, your reward system is basically a bored bouncer at a club. This doesn't count. Next, if you're spending social energy, your brain wants a return on investment. It wants novelty, insight, a moment of realness. Otherwise, it feels like paying full price for water in a restaurant and having the server present it like it's a rare vintage. "Here you go, ma'am, a 2026 tap, notes of sink." And the irony is, a lot of small talk haters are not socially clueless. They're socially aware, sometimes painfully so. They can feel the script. They sense the unspoken rules. They hear, "How are you?" And they know the acceptable answers are good, busy, or living the dream, said in the exact tone that means, "I am not living the dream." So the whole exchange can feel like theater. Everyone knows their lines. Nobody is allowed to improvise. And if you crave authenticity, scripted conversation feels like wearing a shirt with the tag still on. Technically fine, psychologically irritating. Let me paint a scene. You're in an elevator. It's quiet. You can hear the hum of fluorescent lights. Someone clears their throat and says, "Mondays, huh?" And your brain instantly runs two tracks. Track one is the polite social track. "Ha ha, yeah, Mondays." Track two is the real track. Why do we all pretend we're okay with spending most of our lives doing things we don't love, just to afford being alive? But sure, Mondays. And you can't say track two, not because you want to be edgy, because you understand context. You understand that the elevator is not a therapy session. And you also understand that most people aren't looking for truth in that moment. They're looking for smoothness. So you do the script, but doing the script costs you energy. That's where introversion gets misunderstood. Introversion isn't, "I hate people." It's often, "I have a lower tolerance for stimulation that doesn't feel meaningful. If your social battery drains faster, your brain becomes picky. It's like, if we're doing this, can we at least make it worth the electricity? And then there's openness to experience. People who naturally crave complexity, ideas, nuance. If you're high on that trait, small talk can feel like trying to feed a curious brain with plain crackers. Sure, it's food, but is it living? Now let's talk about the question that makes a lot of small talk haters want to fake their own disappearance. So, what do you do? Which is basically society's way of saying, please compress your entire existence into a job title so I can decide how interested I'm allowed to be. Some people love that question because it gives structure. It's a map. It helps them place you. It reduces uncertainty. But for you, it might feel like someone asking you to summarize a novel using only the back cover. So you answer short, or you make a joke, or you say your job and feel your identity shrink into a LinkedIn headline. And then later, because your brain is a high-performance overthinking machine, you replay the interaction like a director watching the rough cut. Did I seem rude? Did I look bored? Why did I laugh like that? Was my face doing something weird? And now you're exhausted, not from talking, but from performing normal. Here's another twist. For some people, hating small talk is actually protective because deep conversation isn't just better, it's more vulnerable. It requires presence. It has emotional stakes. If your life has taught you that honesty can be expensive, maybe feelings weren't welcomed or people used personal information as ammo later, your nervous system gets cautious. So small talk becomes this weird no man's land. It's too shallow to satisfy you, but safe enough to keep you from getting hurt. You end up trapped between two doors. One says boring, the other says risky. And you're like, amazing, I'll stay home and alphabetize my spices. But the desire underneath, it's connection, real connection. And if you've ever felt that frustration, like you're surrounded by conversation but still lonely, that's not a character flaw. That's your brain wanting depth. There's also something called social self-monitoring, which is basically how much your brain is tracking how you're coming across. People who hate small talk often score high on this, not because they're insecure in a shallow way, but because they're sensitive to social dynamics. They notice tone, timing, facial expressions. They can feel the micro shifts. So when they're in a scripted conversation, it's like running 10 apps in the background. You're speaking, but you're also listening, adjusting, predicting, and translating subtext in real time. And if the conversation is about traffic, your brain is like, we are burning premium fuel for a trip to the grocery store. Now, I want to say something that might surprise you. Small talk isn't meaningless. It's just not meaningful in the way your brain prefers. Small talk is a bridge. It's the warm-up. It's the nervous system handshake. For many people, it's how they build safety before they go deeper. It's not that they're shallow, they're calibrated. And once you see that, you can stop treating small talk like a personal insult. Because what happens when you do treat it like an insult is you get tense. You judge yourself for being bad at it. You withdraw. People read you as cold. You feel misunderstood. You crave depth even more. It becomes this loop where your desire for connection accidentally pushes connection away. So what's the move without turning into a small talk person? You don't have to become fake. You just need a doorway out of generic conversation. And the doorway is usually one small shift. Instead of going deep, Go slightly specific. Generic is what makes small talk feel like a screensaver. Specific is what makes it feel human. How's work is a dead end. But what's been the most satisfying part of your week? Has oxygen. Busy is a wall. But good busy or trapped busy opens a door. Crazy weather is the sky doing sky things. But are you more of a summer person, or do you secretly hate sweating? Suddenly becomes personal and funny and real enough to matter. You're not forcing depth. You're inviting it. Because here's the truth. Most people actually want better conversations. They just don't know how to get there without making it awkward. They start with the script because the script feels safe. Sometimes all it takes is one person, maybe you, nudging the conversation one step closer to real. Let me give you a scenario. You're at a work event. Someone says, "So any fun plans this weekend?" No! Your brain wants to say, "I plan to recover from capitalism," but you don't. Instead, you say, "Honestly, I just want something quiet." What's something you do that actually makes you feel recharged? That's not therapy. That's not oversharing. That's just real. And watch what happens. People often light up because you gave them permission to be a person, not a script. Okay? Quick pause. If this is your kind of content, psychology explained in plain English with a little humor and a lot of, "Oh, wow, that's me," you'll probably like what's coming next on this channel. So hit subscribe now because we're going to keep unpacking these personality patterns and social quirks, and you'll start spotting them everywhere. All right, back to it. Now, of course, sometimes it won't land. Some people truly want the safe loop, and that's fine. You don't have to force chemistry with everyone. You're not a Netflix recommendation engine, but when it does land, you'll feel it immediately. The conversation shifts, the air changes. It becomes less about filling space and more about sharing space. And that's why people who hate small talk often thrive in one-on-one settings. Long walks, late-night car rides, kitchens at 1 a.m. The environment is calmer, the pace is slower, and everyone's nervous system stops performing. That's your zone. That's where your personality isn't too intense. It's just present. So if you hate small talk, here's the reframe I want you to keep. You're not defective. You're tuned for resonance. Your brain is looking for meaning, for sincerity, for conversations that feel like they actually count. That can make you feel out of place in rooms where talk is mostly lubrication. But it also means that when you connect, you don't just chat. You resonate. You make people feel seen. You make moments feel alive. And honestly, in a world where so many people feel disconnected, even while being constantly connected, that's not a weakness. That's a gift. So here's my question for you. What's the small talk question you hate the most? And what's the question you secretly wish people would ask you instead? Drop it in the comments. I read them and they help shape the next videos. And if you want more pop psychology like this, quirks, patterns, and the weird little rules your brain follows when nobody's watching, make sure you're subscribed. Because we're going to keep nudging the mood, one awkward conversation at a time.